What's happening, team? I hope Mrs. finds everybody well. Welcome back to the Built for Pressure podcast with me, Will Foden. Today, I'm joined by a close friend, a mentor, someone I've looked up to, not only in the high performance space, but as a friend, Mr. Tim Castle. How are you, mate?
I am very well. Thank you, Mr. Will Foden, for having me on your amazing podcast. Looking forward to this.
Absolutely my pleasure. Those that have been part of my journey for a long period of time, Tim has been sort of like a shadow in my corner ever since I was in Singapore, where just a random text message to meet in a Starbucks cafe turned into something a lot more fruitful in relation to me discovering what it's like to actually not only push my limits, but more so watching somebody else give something back so amazing to the world. Just give the listeners. Some people will know you very well because we've done some events together and we've known each other for a while. And I've obviously been on your Quick Wicked podcast, which we'll plug afterwards. Give the people a bit of an oversight about who is Tim Castle and what we're doing, and we'll go into your new book.
Yeah, lovely, mate. I think all the best things happen in Starbucks, to be honest. All the best
Yeah.
meetings or ideas. What am I? Who am I? I'm an author, first and foremost, author of 5 books. I'm in the top 30 world's negotiation professionals. I have a podcast called The Tim Castle Show, where I get to interview. Basically, I built the podcast for my boys because I wanted something for their dad. Like if they looked at their dad and they saw him having conversations with people he respected and valued, like yourself. I think you've been on 2 or 3 times. Got to get
Yeah.
you back on.
Yes. Yeah.
Um, you can be the most present guest in all of the 200 episodes, and I wanted them to have that as lessons they could look back on. I thought that'd be a cool thing. And then I realized how much fun it was to have these conversations with people. So I do a lot of podcasting. And then I do speaking and sales and negotiation training. And I'm moving into negotiation and AI. So basically, we've all seen, or we all are seeing the disruption and the massive velocity of change that's happening with AI as it's coming out. Like the models are iterating at speeds that we've never really seen before. And I think this is very much just the beginning, but it's going to impact not only like how we as humans communicate, influence, persuade, and add value, but just how we interact. And I think there's a big piece there that I'm really loving working with companies and clients in helping them shape their businesses through this time.
Yeah.
And
It's
then,
a
of course, I'm a dad. I'm a dad. I'm a
you're
dad. I'm a husband. I'm
we've got to throw that one
I'm
in
all
there.
of
Yeah.
those
Yeah.
things. Yeah.
Have to. No, I think the from my side of things, we've been in this position where it's been funny. I read your first book, Be the Lion. Well, it's not your first book, the first book that I read of yours, that absolutely changed the game for me. And again, something that a lot of people don't live their word. And something that I've been lucky enough to sort of watch with you is the evolution, and something that we'll go into is you're fucking relentless. Excuse my French. Like but it's not aggressive, like stupid uh like alpha male waffle. It's just like the expression of your actual capacity. I've seen you getting up writing books at 4 in the morning because the boys are getting up at 6. You've got to take them to school. I've known you to travel multiple different countries. In your book you talk around literally flying to New York on a whim, trying to meet somebody just purely for a conversation. Give us a I think we'll go through your evolution as an author is quite a big thing for me, because I think we'll talk about your next book, The First Domino. And like you said, probably a caveat to sort of go over for people is this is not just about negotiation and not just about high pressure sales. And again, you've worked in some absolutely astronomical deals and landed things that people have said are impossible, etc., etc. Give us a bit of an oversight in relation to your evolution as an author, and what, because Be the Lion for me was like a handbook of finding your way of just keep taking action in whatever capacity it was. It wasn't about sales. Like you got the art of negotiation, which you had before, which is very much a case around how do you use influence, buy-in, persuasion, and that kind of thing, which is still good, but it's still very human driven. Give us a bit of an oversight into your evolution through each book, and and what does the first
Mm.
domino actually mean? Because I think my thing from this podcast is, but I want people to take this and recognize that everything in life is a negotiation. Nearly every whatever you're doing is going to be some form of compromise or persuasion or influence by etc. Give us a bit more oversight.
Absolutely, mate. I think the art of negotiation is really the art of possibility. And there I was, the goal was just to write a book that and get to the end of it, right? Could I finish the project? Could I do something hard and figure it out along the way? And I had no idea how to do that. And it was back in 2015 that I started that process. And it took me 3 years to complete the process. And then what happened next was just this realization that you've only done half the job, right? Writing the book is
Yeah.
literally, it felt like I thought that was it. And it's got nothing to do with that. Honestly, there's a second whole piece of this, which is marketing the book and the narrative and understanding that you have seen a pain point that you can solve for other people, right? That's entrepreneurship, right? You're an
Yeah.
entrepreneur, you're giving value for a profit. And it's the same thing, right? If you're giving value at scale, you've got to get the scale piece as an author to make any kind of ding in the world. And it just so happened that negotiation back in 2018, when it came out, was still kind of under wraps and people didn't really understand and connect the dots between influence, persuasion, like it was all already there, but people didn't understand like this is career advancement. This is
Mm.
dollars in your bank account. This is a better deal on your mortgage. This is a better deal on, and like you point out, in every sphere. This is
Mm.
your communication with your family being better, like convincing them to do exactly what you want, not through manipulation or through sabotage or through all these other techniques, but actual skill in understanding emotional presence and being
Yeah. Yeah.
able to deliver that and persuade in pretty high stakes situations. And we don't mean like life or death here. What we mean is it matters to you and your family whether you have that extra 20% on your salary or you land that massive client, which is exactly what the first domino is about. It's about creating opportunities. So my evolution as an author was it started there and then that opened up the world for me, my eyes, because my skill set has always been create opportunities, typically expanding businesses into markets that have either been impossible or haven't been going very well for companies. And
Mm.
I love that challenge. So then I had this challenge of, well, you have a book. Let's see what we can do with this thing. And then it was the most fun game ever. And I'd say to everyone, recommend to everyone, whatever it is you're pushing, your purpose, your product, your service, play a game with yourself and see how far you can take that. That's
Massive.
that's what I did. And that game got me to meet some amazing people that then over time we built relationships. And that's what then scaled, right? It was the relationship that scaled because it's always a person in control of the network that you need to tap into. It's not
Yeah. Yeah.
one to one, all of the like someone sits in the role, has all the control that you need to build a relationship that can help you make millions of dollars. It's just you can't walk up there taking and knowing that. You have to build the real relationship and the trust. So then, end of the art of negotiation, writing that, another book was in me. And this was a much more personal book, a much more heartfelt book. And it was about transformation. I was really writing for the person that I used to be, age 27, and basically having just kind of completed, or not even completed because it's a constant evolution, but having done a journey that I had transformed myself to then be able to do the things I actually wanted to do,
Mm.
and going through the four C's framework, which were basically like the pillars of the Be the Lion. And I think anyone that finds Be the Lion, it it finds the right people when they're ready for it. And they're the emails and the calls
Yeah.
and the
Nice.
messages. They're the ones that they matter a lot, right? Because they're so personal and authentic, and you know that you've made the impact. Like I'm really, really proud of that book, but it took guts to put that out there because it was kind of very personal to me. But
Warts
it
and
was
all.
like,
Yeah.
well, yeah, exactly. And then saying, well, if I can do it, you can do it. This is kind of like the playbook. Let's go, right? And let's join this movement. And it really has become a movement. And the lion in my family now is just a massive symbol. Like we are the lions. Like it is absolutely like lions everywhere. If you came to this house, like it's just mad. Um, and then I think a couple more books popped out, really quite fast, like within a few years. Like it just became what I was doing. And so at that point, it felt like writer's block isn't a thing and I can get into flow and I can so I'm a kind of person that can get up and I will just start to execute. Like writing
Mm.
for me has never been I didn't know this before I decided to go and write a book, but I didn't realize but I can just write or I can get up and execute a plan. I am most creative between 4 and 8 a.m.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
so that's all I need to do, 4 to 8 a.m. If I'm going to do anything, that's creative or requires my thoughts, let's eat some walnuts, let's eat some blueberries, let's
yeah, yeah.
whatever, get the neurons firing. But like realistically, I can walk out of bed and funnily enough, I still sit in a little room next to the bathroom and write. That's where I write because it's where I won't get disturbed in the house. And that's been my thing. And we do that and it pours out of me and away we go. And then it was sort of a couple of years since I wrote anything. And in the last year, I've written two books actually. One that came out in September, on my 40th birthday, which is the first Domino. And that was a really special moment. One, because my son did his first motivational speech,
I say that was
which
more important than the book, mate. That was such a. If anyone
he,
wants to go on
oh
Instagram and
mate,
watch that, that was so good, man. You see a little man
he's
just
8 years old.
smash it. Yeah, it's great.
It honestly, if nothing else had happened that night and that was it, that was the best thing that could ever happen. It was the most beautiful moment. He absolutely nailed it, but it wasn't even about him nailing it. It was just about I knew he had it in him to do it. And he wanted, it's his desire, right? This is his strength. And so he's tapping into that strength. And then in doing that, the confidence that he's never has to go through that first domino again. He's pushed that first domino over again. Now he's asking me when's the next one? Every time. We flew to Dragonfly 360, which is a big wellness well-being conference in Thailand in Bangkok. We flew that weekend, and he thought we were going on stage. There's 2,000 people. He thought we were going on stage, both of us, to go talk again. He's like, he's ready, he's up for it. So it really, it really has
Legend.
started that right, and it's done. And that's the principle of the first domino: is you tip that first domino, it changes everything,
Yeah, yeah.
and you become this opportunity magnet, and you can build your empire from that place.
Mm,
And so my we'll dive into that in a bit, but I'd say my authoritativeness in my writing has changed. There's a lot more conviction, not necessarily to be the lion, because that came from the heart, but definitely from you read this book, good things are going to happen.
yeah,
You're going
yeah.
to read it on the weekend, you're going to implement it on Monday. The fluff is not there. It's not that the fluff was there before, but for me, being able to write a book that was less than 400 pages was quite a hard thing. This
Sure.
book is 220 pages of the highest ROI needle moving stuff you can do.
Mega. No, you're being somebody who's consumed your content and knows you personally, watching an evolution of not just entrepreneurialism but conviction in your message. Like you said, be the lion for me. Funny you say it, just finds you at the right time. I remember being sat in Langkawi. Those that listen to this, I'm fluently dyslexic. I can't read shit, and I finished that book within 5 days, purely on the basis of I suddenly realized that I wasn't alone, and that the ambition that I had was not. I think, especially in the entrepreneur space, until you've been in it, like you got quite a lot of people who are ambitious from younger parts of their career journey and their sort of like adult evolution. I I had this burning desire to try and execute something massive, and I never really understood how to funnel it. Funny, it's weird because my dad was very driven the same way. You've got a slogan and it make it happen. And my dad and nothing is impossible kind of vibes. My dad had the same one, and it was something I always wanted to learn how does someone bottle that and give that to somebody to see that, like you said, this first domino effect. It's interesting to watch your trajectory because each book has had a different layer of Tim Castle, and
Mm,
each book has done a different. It's gone from being, like you said, Be the Lion is massive. It literally it weaves between the four C's
mm,
really really eloquently from a position of like actually it's like sewing a needle, yeah.
mm,
Whereas the first domino is like I've only read the first couple of chapters of it. It's straight down the barrel. Take this and run with it. And I think that from somebody who's consumed your content, it gives you a nice stepping stone because you start with in any time you're learning a new skill, you have to learn everything. It's like putting out a toolbox onto the table and figuring out what the FNL's in it. I feel the first domino is a definite poignant piece because I feel it's something that I'd love to explore with you because I think going from a personal standpoint, how How have you found the evolution of that becoming more concise and more consistent? Because again, we could talk around we were talking about family work-life balance and that kind of stuff before, but from an entrepreneur standpoint and for people that are going to be looking in,
Mm,
pulling the trigger is probably, if you ask me
mm.
what your superpower is, mate, it's fucking, you say you're doing something, it's already started. And like I know you mentioned about the small room in your gaff where you're there at 3 in the morning. Again, we could talk. That's super interesting. I've literally just read a whole part of a course around flow state. And when you wake up out of bed, your brain is wired the closest to the most creative flow state you can be in. So it correlates with why that's such so good for you. Give us a bit of like a if someone is looking in right now, and again, hopefully, fingers crossed, people have already consumed some of your books, but they're there now, like, right, cool. That first domino effect, like right at the beginning, you talk around basically, you say get away from the news, pessimistic people. Let's zoom
Oh,
back out.
absolutely.
You're from Nottingham, Shottingham, legendary place, but more your evolution as a man. Like you said, now you're
Mm,
like flying around the world doing cool stuff. Let's reverse engineer it. How does somebody actually pull the trigger and start their journey and also be decisive on it? I think that's where you said
mhm,
mentioned about AI, and we're
mm.
about to, again, we'll talk about it afterwards because mate, the advancements and the speed of everything is going to be absolutely wild.
Yeah,
Right
I
now,
think,
the amount of people are so overwhelmed.
well, that's
How,
it, right?
yeah,
Einstein said there's 5 levels of intelligence. Yeah, and I like it. It goes from like smart to intelligent to brilliant to genius to simple.
yeah,
And like it's easy to be complex. It's easy to be messy, right? You can mess your room up and it's complex. It's easy to add more things to your day or to your routine or to everything, right? Simplicity is hard because I think, because we give our attention to so many things and we're trying to do so many different things. When you know your purpose, when you know what is the number one thing that you are going to execute on, and you strip away everything like that burning desire, the thing that gives you butterflies, like that when you're sat in Langkawi and you're like, I've got this craving, this desire, this I have to do something big,
mm.
that feeling, being able to distill that into an actual outcome
A vessel.
and saying, I will no longer tolerate anything less than this. And therefore, everything that I'm doing that does not contribute to this can go away. Meaning the people that text you and even just interrupt you while you're doing the thing, even if it's just journaling or whatever you're doing, like whatever you've got to get, anything that's taking your thought process away from that most important thing. And so when you can sit down and execute consistently, time and time again, chipping away. Not just, I know people talk about the fact that it's not when we want to, but I think it's about being able to cultivate a state of wanting to, even when you don't want to,
Yeah,
right?
nice.
So you're forcing yourself to get into that rhythm. This is how we feel when we do this, right? Pressure, and cool name for the podcast, but pressure, I found I work best under pressure.
100%.
And and I need to understand who I want in my circle, who I like to spend time with, who I don't. Energy vampires are the quickest way to destroy all of the stuff I just talked about in the last 2 minutes
Mm.
completely because they have a they're basically asking, and this is in negotiation, they're asking you to buy into their perspective or their lens of the world, how they
Yeah,
view
yeah.
the world. And usually it's a load of shit coming out their mouth, gossip, crap that you don't need, that's going to occupy that part of your brain that's going and chatting about stuff that's just below that value line, below everything that's below. What you need in your brain is a few, like 2 or 3 podcasts consistently with a message that of abundance, optimism, good stuff that you're really interested in, consistency around that so that you start framing everything you think from that lens. So you start to produce this, I guess, machine or program that operates like that on default mode.
Mm.
Then it becomes easier to spot the people that you feel pretty crap around. Because, like you said, when we feel lonely, we tend to think that what anyone will do, or that this is all we've got, or like that there aren't cool people out there. And it becomes quite a lonely place. It kind of perpetuates the feeling,
It's funny.
right?
I just underneath the screen. I'm writing some notes just for when I'm putting this onto like the description. This is the lonely chapter.
Yeah.
It's like when you're like Zach, you're very cognizant that you want and you need people in your corner that get it. But the amount of ambitious people that you actually know, you probably can count on your hand until you get to a certain, like you said, when you first wrote your first book, the friction between you actually getting it done wasn't because you didn't want to do it. It was just because you didn't have people around you and the confidence to just go put your fuck off visor on and go, I'm
Yeah,
doing
dude.
this, leave me
And
alone.
it was because people will show up in your life looking like they're your friend, giving you another drink or giving you come to this party or like, and it's fine. I'm not saying they weren't my friends. I'm just saying that like to
Wrong
my
time.
goal, that was an enemy to my goal. And
Mm,
me not having the willpower or the strength to go, hang on, we want to create a new routine because this matters more. That's the tipping point. That was when it started to shift, when it went, hang on. And then you start to see it because then they start to react to your change. And that's where all this stuff drops away. All this stuff drops away when you become more. And all the worry is from that lens is that you'll change and people won't like you. But the truth, the real truth is you'll find people that are like you that you'll love being with, that will always cheer for you when you win and
mm.
cheer for you when you're going on the road. Not just cheering for you when you're going on the road and then when you win, they're like, oh, actually, mate,
You're
uh,
this guy, yeah.
you think you're amazing now. And it's weird because that change is so easy to spot. And so that's where the consistency comes in. You stay in that mental model, creating that model, and and I think good things tend to happen, which is why in the first domino, like the book is about magic, really, in the magic framework.
Mm,
And the first one is M, which means that you're making connections everywhere you go, and you're pouring life into others' dreams. And when you do that, when you are for other people, you're making connections everywhere you go. Like most of my day is spent talking to people. Like
mm.
I've had 3 meetings today, completely one on AI, one on business, and um, all in topics that I love. But they're planting seeds for me. Maybe they'll flourish in 2 years. Who knows? There's no pressure on it.
Mm.
Um, but I'm pouring life into their businesses. I know more about them, their businesses now that I can now connect people to that business. Everything good comes around from that. So, firstly, understanding when you start showing up for yourself as the person you want to be, you start being able to make connections with people that are more like you. And then you start helping those people win. You start building this insane network that is almost like a fabric. And like we talked about before, it's always a person that's sitting on
Yeah.
something that you need later on, but you're not taking from them. They're actually offering it in the future.
Yeah, yeah. It's a there's a really cool book called Be More Pirate, and he talks around pirate code, and he's basically saying
Yeah.
that actually collaboration, and it's going that's one of the magic frameworks that you in your book. The doing something without wanting the return of anything else is like a double positive. It puts things and people start to remember you like of mind. It's very similar in my industry. The amount of people that try and hoard information on what they're doing. Well, I'm very
Mm.
open. I will tell everybody what I'm doing. Reason because they can't do it like me. It's not. It's my stuff. Same thing for you. Is like you said, going in and helping somebody on a part of their business without any intention and not having that. Hang on a minute. Well, this person should be paying me £17 every 300 seconds or whatever. It's like you're doing the exact opposite. Is people buy people and people invest in people, but vice versa. Especially when you're trying to make something happen, recognizing that it's usually this you're in the wrong room. The product or thing that you're trying to do is a fit somewhere. It's the visuals not matching the audio in relation to where you're trying to sell it, how you're trying to sell it, what you're trying to do with someone, etc., etc. So I think that's extremely poignant and like a a really big lesson for entrepreneurial people is we've gone into this weird day and age where everything is through the computer and everything's about AI and everything's about like about
Mm.
soulless integration, i.e., spreadsheets and code and all this kind of thing. The thing that's going to separate anybody currently, in my opinion, from from like an AI day and age is still the ability to connect as a human being, and I think that's extremely difficult to do unless you're active in the process of actually, like you said, having conversations, exploring other people's points of view. You actually going and doing things that are again not against the norm. Like again, in your book, you fly. Yeah, the story of again, you're happy to go through it. You when you flew over to meet someone you admired because you bought all their books because it was like I needed to actually
Mm.
meet him. You can consume content. Is why I reached out to you to start with. Was it's like you were playing a fiddle in my brain. So I was like, if he's done it in the book, fuck it, I'm gonna do it. And that's it again. Luckily, we connected and it's gone from there. So like from like a someone's now looking in and they're feeling. I think when we talk around your purpose, right? I think that's probably the coolest thing that I ever learned from you was actually you have this like definitive direction in what you're doing. I find so many entrepreneurial people are getting pulled tither tather where they're actually trying to go and why they're trying to get there. Give somebody a bit of a maybe a golden nugget of if they're struggling to find their purpose, their why, they again, because I think I know lots of people try and explain this and it's all wushu bullshit. Where actually
Mm.
through your books and how you operate, I think because you lead by example in that respect. It's not. I don't think you have to write anything. If you ask how you do things, it's you know yourself very well. How would you? There was a piece a little bit again in your book around climbing the mountain and that kind of thing. How would somebody explore that and actually figure that first bit out to actually find what they're actually trying to do?
Yeah, yeah. So my motto is believe it is possible, right? That's where everything started for me. Um, I think the easiest way to think about your purpose is to clear the decks. Like people get, like we started the conversation, people get totally overwhelmed and they stick to too much of the wrong things on their plate and then wonder why they're not happy in life. And they've got to really go for a walk, get out in nature, and start to think about what have I accepted as the norm that isn't really true to me as a human being? Like, what have I accepted as just, oh, I need to be in this career doing this job until I'm 65 and then I'll retire. And it's like, play that out and really see if that is the life you want to take. Then start to become more self aware. So there is a little yearning inside you, whether you numb it and you're just watching Netflix or you're doing the same old routine all the time. You've got to increase your self awareness. And one of the ways I think people should really challenge that or heighten their self awareness is to basically make a list of all the stuff you're procrastinating on right now, draw a box. So maybe it's your business, and there's things in your mind that you haven't done that you've been putting off that you said you would do, whether that's apply to TEDx, whether it's whatever it is, text that big client to make sure we get the deal, meet six of these people that I really admire that I'm really scared to talk to because what if they say no? Like, and do that for family, do it for your money, do it for your gym, do it for all the boxes that matter to you. They are your big rocks, they're your priorities. Clear the decks. Let's just go for it. It takes half an hour to do everything that you're taking 3 weeks to do. It literally does. Smash it out, send those messages, make those calls, make those decisions, take responsibility for the life that you want to start to live. Clear those decks. Once you've done that, you've started to put yourself in more uncomfortable positions. You're flying now. An object in motion stays in motion. That's Newton's first law. So now you're in motion. You're bound to now start colliding with more ideas and more fun. Notice how you feel when you're talking about certain subjects or doing certain things. It's the exact things that light you up and give you butterflies that you need to lean into because whether that's a side hustle or your main gig, it doesn't freaking matter. Even if you're working for a corporate, think of it like you're a consultant getting paid a commission check to do a job. That's all it is. It doesn't have to be your full identity. That commission check is paying now for your other business that is eventually, as soon as you like, as soon as you're willing to take enough courageous action,
Mm.
going to be your actual life and job. But the only thing that's stopping you getting from A to B, moving from the corporate to the non-corporate, is you growing into that person that be willing to do the stuff that has the life of B, right?
Yeah,
And
yeah.
that's the difference, right? And they're able to, like we said, pull the trigger quicker, but also the timeline isn't 3 years, it isn't 10 years, it's not all this stuff. That's you're giving yourself so much rope to hang yourself in the same situation. Nothing changes unless everything changes. So let's change this up and really dial into your self-awareness. So to get quiet, go out in nature, start to like really become someone who can compartmentalize from an emotional perspective and go, what do I want my life to stand for? Who am I at my core? Like those values, because those values are going to give you a direction. And you've
Mm.
mentioned the word direction a couple of times. It is direction because sometimes when we're going through the unknown, I'm telling you, you can apply to do all the things you want to do. You can talk about it. You can hope you wish. But until you gain that conviction to know that you can do it, which comes from failing, which comes from doing it enough under pressure, like putting yourself in positions when it's pretty scary and you're okay with failing over and over and over again, enough times that you aren't scared of it and it actually turns you on in a way like you're actually drawn to it. You're like let's go, let's
Yeah,
whatever
yeah,
happens, let's go. And that moment changes everything. That's the first domino moment that gets you tipping in the right direction. And then everything starts to fall in line because you have started to become the person that does what they say they can do in alignment with where they want to go, rather than taking the road that's comfortable but has no friction.
yeah, yeah. It's such a it's funny. I listened to a podcast not long ago, ages ago, about leadership, and this old boy was talking about an albatross. Yeah, which is I've used this in a seminar. Basically, an albatross will lay its babies on the side of a cliff, and that albatross baby at one point will literally just turn around and jump off.
Only way.
They either
Yeah.
splat or they'll fly. The analogy is that most people who are sat on the edge waiting to think if they can fly, rather than
Mm,
taking that one step of courage to actually just jump off the cliff and back yourself to be able to do it. And I think it's really poignant the amount of people that talk around failure and about oh, they're taking action and this kind of stuff, but not actually fail or not actually stretch their capacity. What I've loved being part of your journey has been actually watching you. You haven't had a limit. And and the nicest part about speaking, apart from a fucking love you in the family, is like the energy you have behind what's possible. And that is, and again, it's very poignant because there's people that say it. There's people that will give you all the motivational fucking Canva PDFs on LinkedIn and this other shit. But actually, people who could stare in somebody's face and you know exactly what they mean. Actually, having courage rather than confidence is a game changer for anybody that's actually ambitious. Because I've just did a social media day. I've just filmed this about the story of an entrepreneur. Most people think that entrepreneurialism is A to B.
mm,
Entrepreneurialism is literally you just getting kicked, shinned, thrown down the stairs, pushed down the hill, punched in the face all the time by other people and by other things, but actually having that definitive, this is what's going to fucking happen. And
mm,
that's the end of it. And I'm willing to die on the sword. I've again, parts of the reason why I connect with you so much is because that's me in my career as well, in relation
mm,
to what I've been
mm.
doing and the ambition of like, it's easy just to go and solve broccoli and chicken problems for 10,000 people and just selling a bag of shit rather than actual real change and real sort of self leadership skills. That for me is what it takes to be a true high performer and offer something back. And like you said, it's wicked to hear that. I said adding that into building something actually for the planet and actually and giving back and that kind of thing. Something that came up to me while she was speaking, and I think it's really prevalent in our space, is how you've got this eternal ambition to deliver, and it's only going to get bigger. It's a never-ending game. Self-mastery is a never-ending game. How have you, and how do you? Because again, I know you balance
Mm.
that with family. Because again, I know you very well, and I can get to hear that you're super close. And we'll talk about little man speaking at your last book event, and I think that is such a wicked. If anybody's on Instagram, I'll put Tim Castle's Instagram there. Watch his boy just absolutely smash it. It's wicked. Give us a bit of a give us some tokens of how Tim deals with that because I think, like you said, the drive to succeed is so big, but also you haven't lost that. I'm a dad first and foremost.
Yeah, so knowing that my boys, like they could even interrupt this right now, and
We'll give him the mic, mate.
I'm
We
not
just
gonna
put
lose
them on.
my
Let
shit, right? It's not a big deal. Like it's not the biggest deal in the world. Like really thinking through, like what is the purpose of all of this, and what is my role as a father, and what do I want? I want to be someone that they trust as a leader, but I want to build a lion. I want them to be the lion, right? At the end of the
Yeah,
day. And so being an example when under pressure or in different situations, then being able to see the evolution of this is the gift. They know now how to do a business and how to grow it. They saw it from micro to now macro, and they've started to see the fruits of the labor, right? That's why it's like osmosis. But I think they know my door's always open. They know that there's a safety there, like that they can come and tell me stuff. We have something called lion code. If they say lion code, it means they're going to tell me anything, and anything can be
how
said
good.
like this lion code, and it means it's true, and it's important because as they've got older, stuff has started to happen that you kind of need to know if it's real or not, or like what's the severity here, and should what do I need to do about it in a way that like I've had adults challenge what my kids have said, and they're not lying, and at the same time the adult's telling you that didn't happen, and you're like, far out, like this is. But
Mad, isn't it?
having that kind of dimension and that relationship is super important. And again, goes back to values and goes back to it wasn't always like this. This is practice and knowing thyself, knowing, okay, yes, I can wake up at 2 a.m. and I know I can write. I can. I did almost every time I wake up, I was thinking, oh, shall I write now? Shall I, like, got ideas? Like, let's go. Like, I'm geared towards that. Like, it's instinct. And knowing that, look, I can do that, but you've got Will Foden's podcast today. How are you going to be? Are you going to be awake? Like, or should you have a couple more hours? So knowing thyself, knowing when you're not on top of your game, knowing when you need a couple more hours sleep, like getting the sleep in, and knowing when you're not, knowing who you are and what your life operation plan requires you to do. Then I think from a kid perspective, because it's not about trying to be perfect. I think let go of this illusion of perfect. And that allows you to have fun with it. Again, going back to playing the game, if my kid came in right now, probably would add some humor and some fun to this as well. Like, do you know what I mean? It would give
Yeah, yeah, no,
something
100%.
because
Yeah,
we
yeah.
all know we can all cut it out if we want to, but it would probably
Yeah,
give him something as well, and it'd be awesome, right? At the end of the day. And so, but people could look at this, and maybe it's like 200 podcasts ago, I would have been operating in a very different way, like, oh, no noise outside, like all this kind of stuff. Now, I could have the biggest guest on my show, and it honestly, if they come in, or I'm going to be like, sorry, um, like whoever, like I had Rich Diviney, who's an ex-Navy SEAL, on the show the other day, and again, really looking forward to that kind of episode. But if my kids come in and interrupt, it's what's happening. I'd just explain it to him and be like, it'd be no big deal.
yeah, yeah,
Actually, going back to that, he talks quite a lot about high performance and the difference between high performance and optimal performance, and
yeah, yeah,
basically
nice.
saying it's pretty cool because moving towards the goal, like high performance is like an apex state.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
the only
Peak.
way is, yeah, exactly. It's a peak. So you can't sustain it forever. And what Navy SEALs think about is optimal performance as well. And saying, look, let's keep it may be dirty, it may be muddy, it may be gritty, it may be, you may be hating it. And that's a bit like when you're building the business and it's, it's hard and you don't want to do it, or you don't want to do the things that you've got in your diary. You're gutting it out, but that's optimal performance. You're performing at your best. And so I'd say when you have that mindset, it's almost easy to weave in kids because they're the top priority.
Yeah,
My
yeah.
example, and showing them how to operate and how to juggle various things is the biggest gift I can give them to prepare them to be relentless, to pursue their strengths. And the more I win, the more opportunities I can provide for them. So
Mm.
it's not winning and not being around and at their expense. It's winning with them having a dad that's present,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And that's winning to me.
Massive. You're again putting it in a practical aspect, how that actually looks like is like you said, going to a conference with your family and
Mm.
or launching a book with your family and not just putting them in the back corner, getting the kids to play with toys and telling them to shut the fuck up. It's here's a mic, mate. Have a and make it rain. I saw, I can't remember who it was. It's someone he's a multi-billionaire of some description. And someone said, "What's the most successful thing that you've ever done?" And he said, "The most successful thing I've ever done is have 18-year-old kids that want to come home." And that for me,
Perfect.
I was
Yeah.
lucky enough to be in a household like that. Like my it was just part of.
Mm,
I did never had. It was never a question. Where I see
mm,
so many high performing individuals, especially in the corporate realm, who are all business and they're all send and they're all like aggression, 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 win, 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 win. But they're on their third marriage, or they've got
mm,
two kids that hate them, or they're in private school boarding
mm.
because they haven't got time for them. And it's so like refreshing to have somebody on again. I associate people like you in relation to you got such a high level of ambition, but the real level of ambition is passing the torch. And
Right.
my son George is only he's near whatever 19, 20 months. Like his level of development, Rachel currently he goes to nursery twice a week, but she's at home with him. And some people, especially societally, they look at Rachel because she ex-Olympia, professional athlete, but she does a bit of admin for me, but she's mainly a mum. Like sometimes the guilt used to come in of like, oh, I wish we should just have him in nursery and we should be having you work. But then actually, what's the whole point? Is I can go downstairs at 12 and take my son out for an hour walk in nature. I can decompress, walk a dog, but actually watch him, whatever,
Yeah.
chasing sheep or being a nutter. Point being, like, what's the whole point of all this? And I think like the a point that I'll cherish is knowing there is the opportunity to be able to share those sort of moments and take them with you. I think that is such a powerfully and misunderstood action that actually, like you said, do you have any youngster jump in now and start jumping on the mic and talking about life in the universe? I think people would massively it's the exact opposite of people's first reaction. They'd be like, "Oh my God, you shouldn't." Well, actually, you should because that's
Mhm.
I love your thoughts and processes, but seeing how they see the world
Mm,
for me is especially right now. This is I can't remember what this is called. It's called Lost Boys. There's a book called Lost Boys, and it's about young men, young boys, like 8 or 9, who haven't
mm,
got like any direction, boundaries, or they're not having the energy funneled into something. And I
mhm.
think like it's such a nice thing to see is like you've got an option of just leaving them in the cloud on computer games, iPads, and just doing this, or why not give them opportunity? Why not try? Why not take them to do? We took George to British Columbia and I climbed up a couple of mountains that were nearly 3,000 meters. And he was at the top of us. And like he's literally
Yeah.
up there running around chasing chipmunks, and people are literally like, what the fuck are you doing up here with him? My point
Yeah.
was, he won't remember exactly the mountain or where we were and stuff, but what he absorbs what I
Yeah.
see as high performing. And I think that for listeners, especially who are deep in the weeds of their work, yes, you got to know your why, but you got to know your what to do to actually push the needle. But the why behind it needs to be probably bigger than you and bringing those along with you, right?
Absolutely, mate. It's integrated already. Like this morning, I went off to have my meetings. He went and delivered at the post office the books for the media for all the TV stations. So he's out there. He's my biggest advocate, right? But
How
he's out there doing it. But he's also learning for himself, right? Okay, we went to Hanoi a couple of days ago, and he sees like he gets to see. Okay, cool. We arrive at the hotel. Like they lay on all this stuff, they comp you stuff, they give you mass, like they give you everything. Like, and I get it, like, and it's awesome. It's awesome. Like they pick you up and all the stuff's laid on, and it's all the things are free, and you just enjoy it. But he gets to see, I guess, the output, the outcome of what happened after sort of 2 years of working on something. And
Mm.
then what's he doing at night? He's writing in his book, writing his first non-fiction and fiction book. And it's like, cool, okay. And he wants to be an artist. So then he starts doing paintings that we got gave out at the launch party and all this stuff. So it's
Oh,
just
good.
weaving all that in and building on those strengths, I think, and being able to show him both worlds, the world of right now, I've got a deadline for this manuscript. We need to get this done. And what this means this much commitment. But then on the other side of it, cool. Well, we now fly up to Bangkok and we go in and you can come to this conference and we've got this access pass and it all kind of like you get to meet cool people like like the stars of the show, whatever. Like and not kind of being afraid or I think it's probably one of a few kids that was at the conference. Not many kids there,
No.
but everyone could have brought their kids. they just didn't. And it's like, I love this way of just exposing them to stuff really early so that then they see the possibility.
And it's funny. I listened to a couple of podcasts with Darren Priestley at the moment. So we'll go back onto the AI thing of like the education system is no longer that applicable in relation to how somebody's going to be working and operating in 10 years' time. Entrepreneurialism is going to be the vessel that is going to allow you to have everything that you ask for financially, vocationally, professionally, spiritually, whatever, because our education system is designed for the Industrial Revolution. It's designed to teach someone just to remember facts. Where now with AI coming in, it's going to be two double edged. You can have people who are extremely dumb that rely purely on AI for everything, and they're going to be people that are stuck at the bottom of the barrel. Or there's people that are understanding how to live alongside AI, but actually be able to, like you said, adjust, move, and be who they need to be at the right time, and that takes exposure and having the opportunity, like you said, to see things that yes, they are probably. If you asked 5 years ago, would you be doing that? You would say yes, but also you'd be like, how? Where now it's like this is part of what we do, and
Mm,
he's got responsibility, and I'm teaching him again something that's really like I'm really passionate around personally is showing young people what actual hard work is, but with a smile on your face, not
mhm.
I think we're in a day and age where we're in this. There's two ends of it. There's like you're supposed to have like a 1 hour work week and be earning $300 million an hour, or there's the victim mindset of everything's happening to me. I can't do this, and I'm just gonna flounder. The difference that makes a difference, right? Like you said, is instead of playing somebody else's rules, you're playing your rules, which are I'm taking my boys and the missus, and we're going to go and do work together, but we're also going to go and do insert whatever cool thing. Dum 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 dum.
Mm,
We something that again I think you live it that we I talk a lot around is I think work life balance is bullshit. I think work life integration is imperative. Like
right.
you've
Yeah.
integrated your family into what Tim Castle does, not you have your books and your everything here, family here, and it's like this. It's like
No, no,
actually
no.
no, we just
You
go together
ask
and let's make it
any
happen.
you ask any of them what we do and what we stand for, and we'll all say similar values and things that come from what we're doing as a family and where we're headed. Like it's a directional movement underpinned by family values that then we try to live to.
Massive.
Um, yeah, I think it is. And I think part of this is, are you committed or are you interested in what you're doing? So we are worried about stepping into that unknown world because we don't know what it will be like, yet everything we want to do lives in the unknown.
Mm,
And if we're committed, it doesn't matter what almost the common man or the average person would do. It's a bit like if you just, I'm sure you see it all the time, if people are changing their diet and they need to do certain things and eat different things. Like I saw your video with the lean mints in the morning. And to some people, like I'm from Nottingham, if I started doing that in my house, people, I've seen it. My missus used to train as a fitness strength
better, yeah.
conditioning competition. Yeah. And so, but it's weird to some people, and they'd be like, "Why are you eating beef in the morning?" Like, and it'd become like a. I'm not dissing that. I'm just saying there's all of those things that you could stop yourself from doing.
Mm.
Yeah, it's not going to lead you to what you want to do. So when you get really clear on what you want to do, that conviction, that courage, you almost earn your confidence because you're willing to break the mold on that you that you've been given. You say, "Hey, we're bigger than this. We've got more going on. Let's
Yeah,
do the
yeah, mate.
things.
I think
All the things
societal
exist."
expectation is such a hard stigma to avoid. Like
Oh, that's the
the
victim mode, right?
his
The,
victim,
the
and it's like, oh, but everyone does it this way, so I need to do it this way. I think there's something that I've learned. I've within my coaching process, I've had huge evolutions in relation to how I operate, and I've never just thought training. I never just thought nutrition. I never just thought lifestyle. I've always been talking around self-awareness and leadership skills, but not
Mm,
leading to be able to. Yes, it's cool to be able to lead 10,000 people, but it's actually more important that you lead yourself. And I
mm,
think from a high performance standpoint, that is the game changer, is giving somebody the keys to their car back and teaching them how to have that conviction in their decision making.
mm.
And I feel
But
it's hard to be able
you
to.
do that though.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
do that. I saw that post with you lifting your weights in your gym saying, I don't want to do this right now, but I'm doing
yeah,
it.
yeah.
And it's like that's exactly the post that motivates the kid in Doncaster to go out and do the same thing, right? And it's that important. It's that important because you're changing it. Micro change, massive impact.
Yeah, yeah, and but people disassociate that. They think you're saying about optimal performance and peak performance is a massive thing that we use. Is that again? It's not my phrase. A guy called Kieran O'Neill. I heard this on his podcast. Is that a factory only operates 80% because it then knows it's got
Mm,
20% when a massive deal comes in, where most people try and operate 100%, and when something's after them that takes them over that 100%, they break. So this is
mm,
where people don't the periodization of your own performance, knowing when it is you have opportunity to stretch your capacity, but also opportunity for you to recover, reload, and be present. I feel that's a dial that is an ever moving dial because the bigger you start playing, the more that matters, but also the harder it is for you to maintain unless you know definitively, like you said, your family values, what you guys stand for, how everyone needs to operate, what actually needs to happen. Dun, 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 like the most people don't actually live by that. They live by
mm,
what's expected of them through somebody else's lens. And yes, let's not pretend people that are on in the corporate hamster wheel. There is an element of you playing the game because you are on a hamster wheel. But that doesn't give you the opportunity for you to quit on yourself and not live by your values and go and take. The poignant point of this whole podcast, I feel, is that actually this is the middle ground of which you are trying to get away from, is the loneliest place you will be unless you are working on yourself and you are becoming, like you said, becoming more self-aware, start managing your emotions and your expectations better for you to make better decisions for you and the people around you, for you to lean into your goals, your passion, your purpose. It all starts with you. It doesn't start with
mm.
your mate,
You
your boss or whatever. It starts with you, right?
you have to have a purpose. I'd say if you are lonely right now, you that's what you're missing is a purpose. It's something to fight for and something to this. That's what this book is all about, right? I've had this said recently that this is like the rules for life. It's actually like how do you win the first 90 days in a new job? How do you win? You're anything, right? You're a housewife with a side business selling cakes. How do you expand that business? How do you make your personal brand so big that it can't be put back in the box? Like all of these things that are coming, like AI is going to disrupt everything, or it already has. Personal brand's going to matter a lot.
Mm.
Doing the steps in the book as a playbook to life, it's not going to end badly. Like it's
No.
going to set you up for like this chain reaction of success that again starts with you taking control of your life and knowing that you are a couple of steps away from a whole new direction happening and actually living it, right, and being it.
Yeah, 100%, man. Nah, I love it. And I could literally, I could sit here and chew your ear off for hours, mate. I really, really appreciate it. But I also appreciate your time. We'll have to do a part two of this. When your next book comes out, which you were saying is the next book of the year, give everybody on the podcast a bit of a where they can find you apart from the Tim Castle show. If they want to interact with you, I'll plug your books. Strongly recommend. You probably just buy them all of them. Just get a highlighter and shut the door. But where can they find you?
Main place to find me is either on YouTube, Tim JS Castle, or Instagram, Tim JS Castle, or on my website, timjscastle.com. It's pretty easy. Just put it in Google, and a picture of me will appear. Probably my son as well now doing his speech, will all appear. But definitely dive into the book. I think it's 99 cents right now on Amazon. Good promotion. It's number one in starting a new business in multiple categories. So as I said, mate, before we started this call, like life has just started to, it's number one right now on Amazon in about seven different categories. So it's
Massive.
hitting the nerve that I knew it could hit. Um, my only goal for you is to read it and hope that it makes a massive difference in your life. And we're talking massive difference. We're not just talking like a small win here.
Mega. No, thank you very much. But I'll plug all of those. Everybody, appreciate you listening. Like and trust it. Send it to friends, and we'd like to hear from you. Anyway, Tim, thank you very much. Man. I'll catch you soon.
You are so welcome.
Thank you, brother.